Welcome back to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into some source material that completely flips the script on how we typically think about weight loss. For decades, we've literally obsessed over calorie counting and ingredient lists, right? But what if we've been missing half the equation? Today, we're unpacking a concept that focuses on exactly when we eat rather than just what we eat by breaking down the 16-8 intermittent fasting protocol. Let's get right into it.
At the very core of this protocol is this absolutely fascinating idea from the text. As it turns out, when you eat can be more important than what you eat. Think about that for a second. We spend so much mental energy policing every single food choice, but our bodies actually operate on internal biological rhythms. Manipulating this daily timeline can trigger physiological changes that traditional dieting just completely misses. It's a total paradigm shift.
Part 1. Redefining the fast, from ancient tradition to modern biohack.
Okay, to truly grasp this protocol, we kind of need to look at what fasting has historically meant. If you look at the etymological roots in the source, it's pretty intense. The concept comes from the Hebrew word sum, which literally means to cover the mouth, and the Greek word nesteo, meaning to abstain. Traditionally, abstaining from food was this very strict, solemn practice. It was meant for deep spiritual or religious reasons, a real test of faith and endurance that lasted for days at a time. And honestly, because of that history, the word fasting carries a lot of heavy baggage. It sounds like starvation. It sounds like punishment. But that is exactly the misconception we're dismantling today.
There is a really stark contrast between the old way and this new way. We're taking what used to be a grueling, days-long trial of deprivation and turning it into a highly accessible daily habit. Traditional fasting, that's a marathon most people are never going to attempt. Intermittent fasting, on the other hand, is designed specifically for your physical health and fat loss, and the whole shebang happens entirely within a single 24-hour cycle. It's incredibly flexible. It's not about covering your mouth and suffering. It's just about strategically timing your intake to give your metabolic system a much-needed break.
Part 2. The 16-8 protocol, a new way of eating. So how does this actually play out in real life? The foundation of the protocol is beautifully simple. It's all about the number 16. You abstain from food for 16 continuous hours a day. Now, if you're hearing that and your stomach is already rumbling in a panic, just take a deep breath. Because the absolute best part of this strategy is that a huge chunk of those 16 hours happens completely naturally while you're asleep. You're already fasting every single night when you hit the pillow. This protocol is just asking you to extend that natural resting state a little bit further on either end of your sleep cycle to really maximize those biological benefits.
And that brings us to the flip side of the equation, the 8. You consume all of your daily food within an 8-hour window. But listen, inside this window, the goal is definitely not to starve yourself. Actually, it's the exact opposite. The text suggests focusing mainly on unprocessed fruits, vegetables, and whole foods to properly and deeply nourish your body. You're still giving your body all the fuel it needs, you're just consolidating the delivery schedule.
But what's really refreshing about this approach is the built-in permission to be human. Nobody's perfect. Occasional treats, like grabbing a slice of pizza or having a muffin with a friend, are completely fine. Long-term health and weight loss come from consistency, not absolute, rigid perfection. As long as you maintain that overall 16-8 timeline and focus on real nutrients most of the time, that occasional treat is absolutely not going to derail your progress. It totally removes that guilt that usually ends up destroying traditional diets.
Part 3. Mastering the timeline. A day in the life.
Now, because a concept is really only as good as its execution, let's look at a standard schedule that works for a ton of people. You basically skip the traditional early breakfast. Instead, your eating window opens at 12 p.m., right at lunchtime. You enjoy your meals throughout the afternoon and evening, and then at 8 p.m., the kitchen is closed, the fasting begins. By the time midnight rolls around, you're fast asleep. When you wake up at 8 a.m., you just carry on with your morning routine. So you've essentially let your body and your sleep do the heavy lifting for the vast majority of those 16 hours. You literally only have to actively manage a few hours of fasting in the morning before noon hits.
Now, a massive question always comes up right about here. Well, what do I do during those morning hours when I'm awake but still fasting? The good news? You aren't completely cut off from the world. You can still have unsweetened tea, black coffee, and of course plenty of water. So you still get your morning ritual. You still get your caffeine to keep you focused and energized, completely without breaking the fast or spiking your insulin.
Part 4. The hydration rule, the secret weapon for fat loss.
So this isn't just about, wetting your whistle. The source material emphasizes a deep biological necessity for hydration here. You absolutely must drink at least 2 liters of water a day during this protocol. But why 2 liters? Like, why is water emphasized so heavily over everything else?
Well, the biological mechanics behind this are absolutely fascinating. This is where the magic happens. Step 1. When you're fasting, your body runs out of immediately available glucose, so it mobilizes stored fat for energy. Step 2. As that fat is broken down, it builds up these byproducts or metabolites in your body. Now here's the fork in the road. Step 3. If you're adequately hydrated, the water takes those metabolites and flushes them straight out through your kidneys. But if you're dehydrated, your kidneys just can't do the job, so the burden falls to your liver. Your liver gets bogged down moving all that waste into your bile. And step 4 is the absolute clincher. Your liver is the main organ responsible for processing mobilized fat into usable energy. If your liver is basically acting as a garbage truck because you didn't drink enough water, it cannot act as a fat-burning engine. Staying hydrated completely frees up your liver to do exactly what you want it to do: burn stored fat for fuel. So, the science is clear, the rules are beautifully simple, and you've now seen the biological blueprint to optimize your daily routine. You have the knowledge to shift your metabolism from storing to burning simply by watching the clock. The only thing left to ask is this. Take a look at your own life, your own schedule, your own habits. When will your 8-hour eating window begin? Think about how you can adapt this powerful daily reset starting as soon as tomorrow. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer today, and I'll catch you next time.